Listen, where are you playing in Ted? Are you playing here?
We're doing the Enormo Dome, whatever it is. It's terrific.
Oh yeah, big place. That's a big place. You sold it out.
20,000 seats. You really should.
Look, you better get up there before you panic. Those pens are loose. You're very good. I have really enjoyed playing with you. We'll make it. I don't think so. But we shall continue with style. Good weather, bad weather. No, later, anytime. Good time.
Hello and welcome to the Enormocast. Thanks a lot, you guys. This is your host, Chris Kalous. That's me. And this is going to probably be episode 55 of the Enormocast, which is a lot of episodes. It is 10:04 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Carbondale, Colorado, here at Bonfire Coffee. Thanks again for coming, everybody. Great looking crowd. For those of you who don't know what's going on, this is a taping of a podcast. I like to say it's live, but actually I will record it and put it out later. It's live because you guys are here, so hopefully the energy will be different than when I sit in my closet or my RV or my office, as it were, or my living room, or wherever I end up doing this thing. As a little introduction, in case people don't know what the hell is going on back here at Bonfire, I started this podcast about 2.5 years ago as a hobby, this idea that I had because I would listen to podcasts while painting houses, and it would just make the time go by. And after a while, I thought, I could do this. I know some climbers. I could interview climbers and put it out there and see if anybody liked it. And actually, right from the beginning, I got a lot of support, and it's been growing over the last 2.5 years, not just from people in the quote-unquote industry, but more importantly from just fans of the show and climbers. And I'm astounded day after day when I go climbing and people are like, hey, I heard you talking. I recognize your voice. You're the guy from the Enormocast. So that's happening over and over again, which is just a total trip. And anyway, I just want to say thanks for the support, those of you out there supporting it. And if you want to check it out after this, just go to the website, enormocast.com, and you can find out what it's all about. I've got 3 guests for you guys today. We'll bring them up in just a minute. And I want to also actually mention while I'm thinking of it, so I don't have to edit it in later. It'll make it easier. But I also have an event coming up in Boulder on May 17th. Some of you may remember or know about a sponsor I've had, the climbing lawyer, Dan Markoff, and he's having a little party at his house, but it's going to be open to the public. If you're interested in attending that, if you're down on the Front Range, we're going to do a live Enormocast there, and his house is pretty amazing. He's actually got a cliff on site with a bunch of roots on it, so it's going to be sort of a climbing party as well. Just go ahead and email me if anybody's interested, and this will also go out later on the internet. So as a reminder, it's chris@enormocast.com, and it should be a fun event. And I've been up to his place before. It's pretty amazing in North Boulder. So just check that out. I'll also put some information on the Facebook page. Okay, that's the business for now. Do I have anything else to say? Normally I get to stop and think about this in my I'll just edit this out later. What's that? Oh yeah, of course. Well, I'll take this minute to explain this because I haven't explained it yet. Is that Defiant Bean, who's been my charter sponsor at the Enormocast, Jeff Hollenbaugh, Defiant Bean, was on board from the beginning, selling coffee through the website. He sold the brand to Bonfire Coffee, to Charlie Chacos here at Bonfire Coffee, and they're working together here. That's how Defiant Bean became Bonfire. I haven't really been that clear about that on the podcast because I keep forgetting to change the message. But I want to thank those guys for having me in here and for all the coffee. He's an excellent sponsor. Coffee just shows up on my doorstep every once in a while, which is a lovely thing. So remember, too, that you can go to the website and click on the Defiant... Oh, no, it actually is a Bonfire Coffee banner now. I did change that. I had my intern do it. Click on that or just go to the website, enter Enormo at checkout, and you get a discount. And as long as I'm thanking sponsors, I want to make sure and thank Black Diamond, who's come on board just recently, much more. And they are real believers in this project, and they've come on board but in a really gentle way, because, I'm always worried about the whole sellout thing, and these guys have been great about that and just wanting to support the community that we've created around the Enormocast. So I want to thank those guys, and also Maxim Ropes has been throwing support for quite a long time since I interviewed Randy Levitt and convinced him that the project was a cool thing, and he had a good time on that. So those are the sponsors, and if you guys want to support the show in any way other than listening, that's a good way to do it, is just supporting the sponsors and let them know. So are you ready, Jonathan? You're furiously scribbling over there.
Yeah, I'm ready, guys.
Yeah, come on up. So my first guest is an old friend of mine. We went to college together, and actually this guy, Jonathan Thesenga, taught me how to climb in a lot of ways. I have a distinct memory of him teaching me how to rappel off of a telephone pole in Pingree Park up in north of Fort Collins, in my camo pants and my mullet. If you recall, I have pictures of it, actually.
So it's worth sharing just real quick that I met Cluse day one, hour one, on the outdoor adventure floor at CSU. And Cluse came from the Midwest, and that was obvious when I first saw him, because I was moving my stuff in, and everyone's like getting their stuff in their rooms except for Cluse. Cluse has already moved in, and his door is wide open to his room, and I guarantee he's thinking, I'm going to fucking have some awesome friends when they see me, because he's got the mullet, like the classic Midwest mullet, these big Bill Gates glasses, he's got a black tank top tucked into camo shorts and like white Reebok high tops, and he's facing his back to the open door. He's just jamming on his guitar, just laying down some fat lines, and just like, what is this guy's deal? Like, I was like, I think we're going to hang out a lot.
I think you're sort of like taking a bunch of memories and putting them into one, because I don't think I did that on day one.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like kicked in the door, just like, yeah, these guys are going to rock, whether they like it or not.
Get ready, Colorado, I'm here.
Yeah, well.
You put the rad in Colorado.
I did. I've written about it before and talked about it, but my journey from the Midwest to Colorado and eventually Colorado State and the outdoor adventure flow, it was truly a pilgrimage. It was truly like, it wasn't one of those things where I look back on it now and I'm like, wow, that was really important. Like, no, I was driving my red van, which you'll recall, my big cherry red Dodge van across the Midwest, like on my way to destiny, and then I knew it. Like, I was like, this is going to change my life. Every time my wheel turns, I'm closer to this change in my world. And so I don't know. I think I might have been a little more humble than that, but I know I did have the hair and I think I might have had like a tie-dye. I think you got that wrong too, or some like, I got pictures to prove all this stuff anyway. So, but yeah, we met on the outdoor adventure floor. Jonathan had climbed a bit, and there was a couple other guys who'd climbed a bit, and they took me under the wing, and I think I went climbing like the first day or the second day with Andy up to Horsetooth, and the rest is, the rest is 24 years of poverty, basically.
Basically, Chris and I were talking at the cliff a couple days ago about me taking him climbing for the first time and just being like, just think of where you could have been if I hadn't fucked up your life by taking you climbing. What you could be doing right now.
I know. We were actually stuck in the Black Canyon when we had this conversation. So it was on Sunday. It was raining and it was cold and wet and we couldn't climb. And I was just like, I can't believe you got me into this. And he's like, I know, this was my idea, meaning to climb that route on Sunday. I was like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, you got me into this like 24 years ago. This is all leading to this moment where I'm about to climb this wet chimney and maybe die.
In the dark.
In the dark. Yeah, exactly. Always in the dark. Always topping out in the black in the dark. That's why they call it the black, I think. All right, well, that's enough about me. This show's always about me. Let's talk about you. The first thing before we get to our bit, do you want to talk about the deal breaker thing right off the bat?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to talk about. It seems like it's so we currently have first of all, there's not as big a crowd as I thought there was going to be. I was hoping for a much bigger crowd, so we got to work on that.
Okay, gotcha.
But it is nice to see that Michael Kennedy is here, and Michael is Canadian, so
that's a deal breaker right there, right?
But a couple years ago, I wrote a piece for Rock and Ice's Ascent about climbing deal breakers. And what climbing deal breakers are is, I started noting it when I was living in Bend, climbing in Smith Rocks. My friend Ian and I, we would just, it was walking by us, climbing by us all the time, where people that were doing things or acting in certain ways that was like clearly not on, like you would not be doing it, but they weren't aware of it. And finally Ian and I were like, we got to make people aware that they're screwing up, that this is not on.
Yeah, and so you wrote this piece that basically like hit. I mean, you couldn't get away. It was like everything.
The idea was the list was pointing out what people were doing wrong, and everybody had something on the list. The idea wasn't to make fun of people as much as it was just to point out the fact that everybody thinks like their operation is super tight. Like, no, man, I always wear a daisy chain through my legs. And it's like, no, man, that's not on. Like, and to point it out. And what was great about it was that it pointed something to everyone. Like, everyone either did one of the CDBs or knew someone who did. So it pissed off everybody. And that's why Mike was here right now, dressed in...
Some of us are multiple offenders.
Yes, exactly.
And have been for many years.
Yes. I think everyone on there is multiple offenders, but fast forwarding a little bit, it was in Ascent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Rock and Ice just reprinted it on the website, and it all blew up, I think even more so because before it was in a magazine, so someone had to read it and then actually get on the computer to complain. But when you read it on the computer, you can just go straight to trolling, like right at the bottom of it. And you know, it's funny because when I've told people that you were coming on the show and this last week, every one of them mentioned like, "Wow, you should ask him about that article that made everybody so mad."
And it's been interesting just to hear the response from people. And again, it's interesting the difference between print and media in that and online people can comment immediately,
right?
And it feeds upon, like, it goes viral, and I had no idea that they were going to run it online. And I went to work that morning, and like I got like 3 text messages from people about like mentioning CDBs, and I was just like, "What? Why are you getting at me now about this? Like, this was 2 years ago. Like, were you just reading it on the toilet in the morning?
Right.
Like, what?" And someone at work stopped by and was like, "Nice job with the Rock and Ice piece." And I was like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "Haven't you looked online?" And I thought, "Oh shit. Never look online," you know.
Right.
It's like, and so I went and looked, and I'm not on Facebook, so I had to go and figure out how to see it all. And it's just like comical, the comments, you know. It's definitely like, it's really easy to be provocative in the climbing community, and that one really rung true for me.
Totally. Well, the thing about it, in your defense, so to speak, is we're really good friends, and I'm like, you know, there's like 6 or 7 of them that I will do in your presence. And the thing about it is that I will continue to do them in his presence because screw him. Like, I don't care what you think of the way I climb. And that was kind of the reaction. The people who were truly sort of angry was my kind of response, because I read through them the other day on various different places. And I was just like, you know, you guys, like, he made sure to get everybody in there. You know, I've got my IKEA bag. I love my IKEA bag. It works really good. And that's a total deal breaker, you know. And the other thing I'll say too is that unless you are completely like the most, you know, magnanimous human being in the world, you've made fun of other people for some of the things on that list yourself. You know, it's like, I can't stand the threaded daisy chain through the legs. Like, yeah, maybe you have a functional reason for it, but it's one of them that drives me nuts. Like, it looks so dumb, like so dumb. And, you know, but whatever, if you want to do it that way, keep doing it that way. It doesn't matter what I think, you know. If it works, it works. Some things are dangerous, but I don't think you really got into that. Although daisy chains, let's not get into the daisy chain thing. But I mean, obviously, if you want to climb that way or wear your Crocs or whatever it happens to be, then just do it. And so anyway, just backing up a second, it's just like, if you got super offended by that, I don't know, you've got some self-esteem issues.
If you got super upset, then I've won.
Totally.
So thank you for the fire.
All right.
And it was interesting too. You know, Rock and Ice has done me wrong a couple of times now, and the other time was recently. They Andrew Bishrat and Jeff Jackson, both in the same issue, took one of my key theories about climbing life and ruined it and misspoke to it. So I thought I'd take a couple seconds and clear that one up.
Okay, go for it.
So this is similar to your aid rant,
Right.
which was something that you sort of built upon around just discussions, and it was a theory that you had, and you really pushed it out there.
Right.
And so the theory that I had in climbing is that at 33, it's over in climbing for you. You have no chance to succeed and get any better at climbing at 33 because life changes. You're going to have kids. You're going to get married. You're going to have a more important job. Your metabolism slows down. All these things happen. They're going to happen.
Right.
So, but people are always like, oh no, like look at so and so. There's always exceptions. There's always exceptions to this rule. But most people aren't the exception. You're going to get worse the older you get. And that's something that a lot of climbers aren't willing to admit to, but that's happening to everyone.
Sure. Well, I'm going to addend that because actually, and I sort of agree with you because actually science backs you up on this. Your brain at 30 starts to go down. But... And actually, Randy Levitt told me that in his episode and he said 35, and that's kind of why he stopped climbing sort of at the level that he did purposely is because he had made this decision. Now, Randy Levitt is like that. He it's like it's time to stop, so I'm stopping. But my point with me, because I am an example of someone who's climbed harder in the last few years than I ever have, because I never met my potential because I was lazy, and so. If you at 33 are maximizing every possible thing that you can do, and you are the best you can be, then yeah, you're going to decline. But like me, I was lazy at 33. So, if you could imagine some sort of graph of my potential, and it starts to decline, but I never met it. So somewhere, I think when I'm 47 or so, is where there's going to be this nexus where I finally reach my potential at that moment. And I'm hoping that it's 13B. So anyway, so that's behind your theory as well. I mean,
yes,
but it's true, the physiologists will tell you things start to break down, right?
Yeah, it's just hard for people to come to grips with that.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're the exception to the rule, and I have a lot of friends who are 31, 32, 33, and I'm like, you're on the clock. This is it. You've got 18 months left.
Yeah.
You're wasting it. They're like, no, that'll never happen. And I'm like, I can't wait to see you in 5 years falling on the warm-ups.
Oh, man. But that's, again, if they're the best they could be at that moment. But, most of us aren't. We've got hidden potential in us. Is there any sort of biblical connection that happens? Isn't 33 the Jesus year? Isn't that when he went down?
I'm not.
Is that Bible people?
I am familiar with Jesus, but I don't know when Jesus died.
So he hopefully had climbed as hard as he was going to climb.
Well, he did climb up on the cross, so that's good.
That's true.
Too early with Jesus dying?
Yeah, no.
He was just reborn, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know he was. He's good. So, well, he is, right? Yeah, exactly. He's fun.
I think he's great, actually.
All right, so let's go on to the next bit. You ready?
All right. So what we did last year when we were doing the live podcast was we had a bit called Cold Call the Canadian. And we called Sonny Trotter, and it was super fun to talk to Sonny and sort of learn exactly how much he did not know about his country. And that's one of the climbing deal breakers I mentioned, actually, was that Canadians are really proud of the fact that they're from Canada. But in reality, no one cares that they're from Canada, because Canada is not really relevant in the global world that we live in today. And now the Canadians are flipping me off in the crowd, which is, again, I'm winning.
Well, where do these Canadians live?
Exactly, in America. And again, I'm not...
Where the speaker cell.
Yeah. Be wary of the Canadians lurking in your neighborhood. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to call another well-known Canadian climber, and that is Jean-Pierre Ouellet, also known as Pee-wee. He's one of the world's most accomplished crack climbers.
Sure. Yeah.
He's super short, and he's French Canadian, and hopefully he's up. I'm not sure the time zone change,
right?
But hopefully he's around. And I just wanted to pick his brain a little bit about being from French Canada, and so we're gonna. All
right. And as a small disclaimer, we use this system, this really ghetto-y looking system here last year, and it worked. And I think it's going to work again. And if it's not, we're just going to edit this all out and bring our next guest up.
So plug it in there.
In there?
Yeah.
That's the out?
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Hopefully it goes in with your case.
And so Jean-Pierre does speak some English, but we're going to try and do this in a mix. I know a few key words of French, so let's... Oh, there
it goes. It's working.
Oh, no.
Come on, Pee-wee.
I have some more Canadians I can call.
Do you?
Classic. What? It might be early.
Votre appel a été transféré à un système de traitement de la voix. 4-1-8-5-7-1-7-7-9-9. N'est pas disponible. Au signal, veuillez dicter votre message.
Does anyone speak French? What's going on right now?
Hello, Canada? Canada. Hello? Jean-Pierre, bonjour.
You're fired.
I'll call you back. Hang on.
You're fired.
Let's call him one more time. Something's going on. Maybe he's just waking up or he's in the shower. We're getting a croissant, as you do.
Leaving us hanging.
Canadians. Well, this will be interesting. I'll have to continue on trying to call another Canadian up.
We'll try another one, I guess.
Maybe we'll call. Yep. Oh.
Hello?
Jean-Pierre.
Yes.
What's up? It's JT. How are you?
How are you?
Hey, I just called you a couple seconds ago and you didn't answer. Where were you?
What's up?
Get a little closer to you.
Where were you? I just called you like 2 seconds ago and you didn't answer. What were you doing?
I was belaying.
You were laying?
Belaying.
Oh, sorry. It's hard with your accent.
Hey, Pee-wee.
I'm sorry, I don't speak English.
Hey, what's happening, dude?
What's up, Chris?
Hey, so we are live right now in front of an audience doing a Enormocast. So you're live in front of a bunch of people, and we wanted to ask you a few questions about Canada. You got some time right now, or are you still belaying?
No, I have time.
Cool. Are you at a climbing gym, or?
Although I want to say my English kind of sucks, so I might have to switch in French.
No problem. My French is perfect, as you know. So
I know. Yes.
Allez. Hey, so, you know, I don't know if you heard last year when we talked to Sonny, but I just wanted to sort of talk to you as well and sort of get a better understanding about Canada, because I know a lot about America where I live, but, you know, Canada, I don't know much about, and I don't think most Americans know a lot about Canada, and I'm actually surprised a lot about what I've learned. And so I went on to the internet last night and spent like an intensive 5 minutes on Wikipedia, really getting to know your country, specifically French Canada. And, you know, the first thing I was just like, oh, I wasn't sure where Quebec was, and I don't think most Americans do, so I thought it'd be, you know, it's important to note that it is in East Central Canada, which is nice to know that it's, you know, where it's at, because I wasn't too sure about that, and I wanted to learn more about, like, why you guys speak French in Canada, you know, and because that was kind of interesting, you know, I didn't really make much sense, and I learned that the French-speaking population in Canada accounts for 22% of the total population in the country. Did you know that?
Yeah. It's probably a bit more even. Maybe your Wikipedia page was a bit old.
Is there like a Canadian Wikipedia I should have gone to, or is it like a global thing?
No, it's le Wikipedia in French.
Gotcha. Okay, that's yeah. So some of this stuff may not be quite correct. But hey, you know, I was trying to figure out like how many French Canadians are there? Like, is you know, what else is there? And I learned that it's the second largest ethnic group. You guys are an ethnic group, which I thought was interesting. The second largest ethnic group in Canada. Do you know what the largest ethnic group in Canada is?
I would say Canadians.
It's English Canadians. So
yeah, I know that, but we're French Canadians, and they're Canadians. We're not. Well, actually, we're not even Canadians. We're Quebecers.
Okay, you're getting ahead of my Wikipedia facts. So hang on a second. Do you know what the third and fourth largest ethnic groups in Canada are? Because the first is English Canadians, the second is French Canadians. What is the third and fourth largest ethnic groups?
Probably Chinese Canadians. Most of them are in Vancouver, also known as Hongcouver. and the fourth one, I don't know, man. Maybe Indians.
No, you're wrong. It's Scottish Canadians and Irish Canadians. So that's something you should be on the lookout for those people. They're the ones with the evil.
Well, aren't these guys English-speaking Canadians?
Wait, what?
Aren't these guys English-speaking Canadians?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about. These are ethnic groups, not language groups. I'm sure this is just a language issue with you speaking French and me speaking English. So let's. It's called French Canadians, but it's also called Quebecers or Quebecois. So what do you call yourself?
It's never called French Canadians. It's actually almost an insult. You know, like, come on, dude, we're pretty far from French.
Well, you know? Hey, I'm just reading what Wikipedia has, Pee-wee. I do not mean to offend your ethnic group.
But you know, the person who wrote that thing is probably an English-speaking Canadian, and they don't know shit because they don't speak French.
So, what do you call yourself? Are you a Quebecer? Are you a Quebecois? Or like, you clearly don't call yourself French Canadian. So, what do you call yourself? Quebecois. And what's up with this thing called...
No, not Quebecois.
Quebecois.
Yeah, you got it.
Merci. Okay, so...
Yes.
So what's up with this other major group of French Canadians called Acadians? That's like some sort of separatist movement? What are those guys all about?
The Acadians, they live in New Brunswick, and they speak like a mix of English and French. They speak Acadian, which I guess it's not a real language. It's mostly, I guess, people, they don't really speak very good French, and they don't really speak very good English, so they speak Acadian. It's kind of a mix of both. It's like Frienglish or in French or whatever.
Are they are they looked down upon by the more advanced and Quebecois, or are they like the dirty Southerners, or what's their like? Are they like rednecks, or are they like what's their deal? Are they like cast-offs? Because New Brunswick, that's a really bad province, right?
What's that?
New Brunswick, where they live, that's terrible. That's a bad place to be, right? So are they like cast off?
No, it's like is New England cast off?
Yep.
It's kind of similar. Yes, yeah. It's kind of similar to New England. It's like Vermont. You know, it's spread above Maine and Vermont. So people from New Brunswick are similar to people from Maine. So they have a really special accent, you know.
Yeah, they sound.
But I wouldn't say they're. I wouldn't say they're rednecks. Like rednecks, I would probably be more toward the middle of the country.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a big country. I'm sure there's a lot of space to be a redneck up there.
Yeah.
Hey, so do you know what the symbol of French Canada is? Like, there's like a symbol. Like, you guys have your own flag, I guess. You guys are like separatists, or you don't want to like leave Canada, right? But what's your flag? What's the symbol on there?
What's our flag? What's the thing on our flag?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a pot leaf, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, that's Colorado.
Do you know? It's like a flower.
Oh no, that would be BC. Sorry, yeah. I think it's called fleur de lis.
Exactly.
Or le fleur de lis.
So what? I'm trying to figure out. I did during my research, tried to figure out why you guys speak French up in that zone, and I learned about this that it was called New France, and there was 4 territories. Oh no, 3 territories in New France. There was Canada. There was Acadia, which later became known as Nova Scotia. What's the 3rd territory of New France?
Oh, boy. It would be the Upper Canada, maybe?
All of Canada is upper. It's Louisiana. So that was kind of a little trick question there for you. So something to keep in mind.
So are you trying to tell me that Louisiana is part of Canada?
It was part of New France, which is Canada, that Acadia place up where no one wants to be, and then Louisiana. So, just again, it's interesting to learn about this kind of stuff on Wikipedia. I'm sure there's a different story on Lay Wikipedia. So I had this other deal when I was trying to look. I was like, I got to find out who the famous French Canadians are. You know, like there's got to be some like significant people on that list, right?
Like Anne Murray, Bryan Adams.
No, I think those are just regular Canadians.
Yeah. Oh,
they're not Quebecois or Acadians or anything like that.
Oh, the girl from Vegas.
I know the two most famous ones for sure.
Who are those?
The first one is Celine Dion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Celine Dion.
And the second one is Sonny Trotter.
Is Sonny really from Quebec? No.
No. He's from Ontario.
Yeah.
No. No, I don't know, man.
So, well, I looked on the list on Wikipedia because I Googled it, and there's like tons and tons. The list was like 50 names, and I had no idea who any of them was. And I was like, man, I don't know any of these names except for Celine Dion. And then I came across a name I knew. It was your last name, Wallet. And I was like, holy shit, Pee-wee has a relative that's famous, right? So
yeah. Do
you or what is your relationship to Marisa Wallet? Do you know her? Is she like your cousin?
No, I don't know her. I have no idea who she is.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you something, though, that my grandpa used to tell me when I was a kid. He was always tell me, usually after a few drinks, you know, he would tell me, hey, kid, there's two types of people in the world. There's the Willette, and there's also the people who would like to be a Willette.
Well,
so I'm not surprised that there's a Willette in that list, for sure.
And those are the kind of stories that no other grandfather has ever told a grandson. So that's definitely special to your family. But let me explain to you who Marise Wallet is, because she must be from your family tree. So Marisa Wallet, she is a French-Canadian glamour model and a professional wrestler and a professional wrestling valet and businesswoman. So she's most known for her time with the WWE. That's the World Wrestling something between 2006 and 2011. She spent her years modeling, including, get this, winning the Miss Hawaiian Tropic Canada in 2003. So basically, she that was her springboard to fame, right? She was.
So basically, she's a stripper that wrestle, right?
Exactly. So she won this. She spent time in the Ohio Valley Wrestling and Florida Championship Wrestling Leagues, which are the development territories for the WWE. Then in 2008, she won like the Diva Championship. And this is, Pee-wee, this is really impressive that your long lost cousin has accomplished all this. She's a pride of
dude, whatever it takes, man.
And then, but sadly, she was released from her contract in 2011. So she had a very, she was her stars shone very brightly for a short period of time. And I had to dig a little deeper to find out what she's up to now. And now she's working on a clothing and jewelry line called House of Maurice. And she's working as a realtor. So it's nice to know that a former Hawaiian Tropic Playboy girl turned wrestler turned realtor is attached to your family tree. I'm sure that's something your grandfather forgot to share with you.
Yeah. I'm kind of proud, actually. I'm gonna look it up tonight.
She's actually really hot too, so that might make you even more excited.
It'd be kind of weird if she's my grand cousin or something like that, though.
Yeah, a little weird. Cousins are all right in most countries. That's true.
I bet you in like Acadia,
I mean, it's not, dude, like Quebec is small, but it's not Kentucky. We don't have sex with our cousins.
Okay, good for you guys.
Well, that's good. I'm sure your grandfather also told you that one. Hey, listen, we got to go because this is a long distance call to Canada. It's cost me a ton of money, but I appreciate it, and I'll see you in a couple weeks at the BD sales meeting. So stay psyched, and hopefully you have a good day climbing. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Pee-wee.
Okay. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
All right.
So thanks for that. It's always fun to catch up with the Canadians to see what's going on.
Cool. Thanks, JT. And I'll send a shout out over the airwaves for Pee-wee, even though he can't hear us anymore. Cool. We good?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks. I'd like to have the next people come up.
Yep. You're scooting over. Move your stick clip.
Got it.
All right, my next guest is, I called him an OG photographer, and that's just the plain truth, Mr. Chris Noble.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hey, good mic placement.
Yeah,
I did a little clinic.
I got some training on this before, so
I did a little.
He said keep it right like this.
Yeah, pour the picture.
I mean, as a photographer, we don't really like to be up on stage.
Right.
You've done this to be in the background.
Yeah, you've done this before. So Chris and I actually kind of met, I guess, how long ago was it when we went up to the 6-star?
Yeah, but we met here in Carbondale when I was on my way to the Black.
Oh, that's right.
Madeline.
We had dinner.
Madeline
that's right.
and Kate. Yeah, that was the first time.
That was the first time. And then we went and did a little photo shoot with Brittany, Jonathan's wife, up at Indian Creek. That's the first mention on the show of Indian Creek. Drink. And because we were working on your book that just came out in the fall. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that book? That's one of the reasons I asked you to come on the show.
Well, it's a book. It's called Women Who Dare, and it's about 20 prominent, I find very inspiring women climbers from North America. And Madeline and Kate Rutherford, Madeline Sorkin and Kate Rutherford were with me when we met. And then, as he said, Brittany was another woman we've profiled in there. So the book is really about these women telling their own story in their own words. It was a way to give the women a platform to kind of talk about their careers and what they deal with, what their challenges are, things like that. And then hopefully some good photos to support that.
So what do you, I mean, when you decided that you were going to do this book, like, where did that come from? What did you decide to put this thing together after all these years?
Yeah, I mean, it started a long time ago. I was kind of, right when digital came along, I started looking through all my old slide collections and things, and I think a lot of photographers at that stage did a lot of soul searching, and I just noticed that some of my favorite photographs were of women in relationship with nature, and I started thinking about a way to make that a longer term, more in-depth project. And so, through a lot of evolution and stuff, we got to this book. And, we were lucky because me and the Falcon, the publisher, and I, just because you work on projects like this, and timing's a lot about how successful they are, and no one else had really done a book similar to this, so it all kind of fell together.
Well, so am I actually pictured in the book?
Yeah, you are actually.
Okay,
although you would have to, you're
I was
like
waiting to get to that question.
Yeah, you are a microdot on the portaledge down below as Brittany's climbing.
Awesome, because I saw it in an ad somewhere. I was like, right on, that's a good looking.
I'm actually featured in there with our van, so...
Really?
I thought I was the only man in the book, and I was like, yes! But then some other guy got in there.
What other guy?
JC's husband.
Oh, that's right.
So,
yeah, we did have a few guys, just to show that these women do have relationships with men, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was important.
I think those shots turned out, we were a little bit worried because I brought up a portaledge on a 2-pitch route, and there was some concern that maybe it would look like we were sort of doing some sort of weird staging. But the fact was, it was a really crummy belay, and I thought, we'll bring a portaledge. It turned out cool, I thought.
It kind of did. I don't even notice it. I was worried about it too, because it's like, whoa, who the hell would bring a portaledge up here? What, 2-pitch route?
Yeah, exactly.
But and then the other thing, it was like a hurricane blowing that day.
Well, the reason I brought the portaledge actually was the fact that I kind of wanted to ask you a couple things about photography and your sort of career as a photographer and working on climbing photography in particular. Like, when you are involved in these things, what kind of lines do you draw in terms of authenticity, in terms of like trying to create an image, not only that maybe feels real, but sort of is based on something that, we always worry about the posing, and you look at some photos and you're like, okay, that, especially with photography of women, like women climb in ponytails because their hair's going to get caught in belay devices and things like that. But when you see all this photography, it's like, hair blowing in the wind and all these sorts of things. So what's your sort of philosophy with that in terms of what you'd like to do with your imagery?
Well, I think it depends on the situation. For instance, if someone's trying to, send a project red pointed, I don't do anything. I just kind of document what happens, right? I don't get in their way. And I don't like to do a lot of coaching. But on the other hand, we are trying to kind of get to the essence of the activity, I think. And so... yeah, we talk about what to wear ahead of time. I usually let women wear their hair any way they want,
right,
to tell you the truth. I mean, I try to meddle as little as possible until I see a climbing deal breaker, and then I immediately step in and say, I really wouldn't wear that daisy chain between your legs for this photo,
right,
this particular photo. Yeah.
As an aside, I want to point out that someone sent me a printed photo from somewhere with Tommy Caldwell with his daisy chain between his legs. So, just in terms of deal breakers, even Tommy Caldwell is caused some sort of stir with his deal breakers. So, if Tommy Caldwell can do a deal breaker, I guess we all can.
I think that goes without saying. Yeah.
Seems fair enough. We'll give it to him. He earned it.
So let me ask you about sort of your career, and I definitely want to have you on the show another time for a full interview, but I made that joke, OG photographer, because I think I want to say when I started climbing and started looking at imagery, I think I remember seeing your name on stuff, because it's an interesting name, Noble.
It served me well.
Yeah. So how long ago did you start doing adventure photography and climbing photography?
Like 1975. Yeah, like when you guys were still in probably high school or something.
Oh man, no.
Diapers, right,
yeah,
right.
70. I was 4. I hopefully I'd lost my diaper by then, but I was probably a late bloomer.
I was really early on, although I did mostly ski photography at that point, and did that for a long, long time. I reluctantly started doing climbing photography. Well, I mean, basically the ski photography took me into expeditions and ski expeditions, and I started shooting a lot of expeditions for the North Face, and then started, doing everything the North Face covers at that point.
Right.
So it was sort of an entree to that. But to tell you the truth, rock climbing photography, I have not ever done the hang out in the parking lot thing and just shot pure rock photography until this book came along. That was the most intense period of shooting that. And the reason is because it's what I like to do the most. And honestly, I loved skiing back in the day, and being a ski photographer kind of burns you out on the whole thing, because all you're doing is waiting for the right conditions. And in skiing, that's one of the most difficult things. It just comes and goes so fast. So I kind of have tried to save rock climbing as still my recreation and not just a job, a day of work.
Let me go back to 1975 and sort of your entry level, and let's go even back further. Like what it is, how did you get into photography in general, and what did that look like in 1975? Right now we're used to all these digital camera equipment. I don't know where you fall on how that's changed photography. It seems like it's made it a lot more accessible for a lot more people, when probably back then it was kind of a little bit more of an exclusive art.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you think about when Ansel Adams was working, there were probably, I really don't know, but there were probably 10 to 15 people that were really competent with a view camera in the United States at that time, versus how many zillions of photographers there are now. So there's that issue. But I was interested in writing, to tell you the truth. I had always liked creative writing in high school, and so I just wanted to be a journalist. But I started working for Powder Magazine writing articles, and I thought, well, this is stupid. I should be taking the pictures too. And I had a background in creative arts or visual arts in terms of drawing and painting. I had no interest in cameras, and I just picked up a camera and started taking pictures because I wanted to support the text. And then over time, I got more disenchanted with the writing because it takes a huge amount of effort and time, and the photos sell themselves. So I just, I became more known as a photographer over time.
Right, yeah, because I agree with that, having written a bunch of stuff, and, you get this, you put hours and hours and edits in, and then you get this kind of little piddly check, and meanwhile the person that slapped the photos on it is getting paid, and then also those things can continue to sell. Like,
yeah, and then we sell in Patagonia.
Yeah, you get to do your writing the one time, and off it goes. So, and again, like sometimes I feel like at this point in the world, we all feel like we can shoot some awesome piece of photography, and in a lot of ways, I guess we can. So, I mean, can you talk about that transition? I know some guys like yourself who were real reluctant to switch over to digital and like held on to film for a long time, and then obviously you finally had to crack. But can you talk about a little bit about that transition in there in terms of what you did?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real weird paradox because everybody says, oh, digital's so easy, but the fact is digital photography is probably 1,000 times more complicated than film photography in some ways, in that there's so much more you have to know about the whole process to be really good at it. On the other hand, yeah, anybody can pick up their iPhone and take a photo now. So there's this weird dichotomy, and as you point out, people that were working in film ahead of time and longer a ways into their career, a lot of them dropped out at that point. And I guess I could have done that too, because it is a huge, huge transition. And when you're really good at something, to learn a whole new system is difficult. But yeah, I just, it's like, hey man, I want to keep doing this, so I'm going to have to figure this out. And I did everything I could to learn about digital photography and how to edit on the computer. So in the old days, we would go out all day and take the pictures and then go drink beer. And now you stay up all night and you edit because the client wants the stuff, like by the next morning. So it's a lot more work, to tell you the truth.
Right on. So were you pre-autofocus too?
Yeah, and then luckily autofocus came along right as my eyes went bad, so I can still actually take pictures.
Because I honestly, I know some people who, and maybe you do too, not people, just a couple that sort of made their career on the fact that they were fast focusers. And when you're shooting skiing, pre-autofocus, it must have been quite a chore to get something fast.
I was proud of that too. I was pretty damn good at that, and like pulling the barrel back as they were coming at you. But autofocus that just kicked my ass immediately. It's incredible how much better the autofocus is.
So let's wrap up here, but let's go back to your book. Where can people have a look at this thing?
Well, almost any major bookstore sells it. It's on Amazon. We're going to do a book signing tomorrow at the community picnic. Hopefully it won't be pouring rain too much. But
is this supposed to rain?
It's what a rumor I heard. But so we'll be doing a book signing tomorrow, and Lauren Lee McCormick is going to join me. So
awesome.
Come out. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming up,
so
Chris.
much, Chris.
Give it up. You're staying up here. Move over. And excuse me, Mr. Kennedy, could you collect your stick clip, please, from the stage?
I can extend it so
Check. All right, we're going to bring up our final guest. My pretend rival in the podcast world has agreed to come on the show, a meeting of the minds, and sit right next to me. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Fitzcahall.
Hello. Look at the crowd as well. That's amazing. You've got a way bigger audience than I do.
All right, Fitz, get on there. Get on that mic a little bit. I'm trying to find that ring.
Okay, I kind of feel like I'm on Letterman too, with like the guests seated. You know how they typewriter the guests over?
Yeah, that's what I told these guys.
Cool.
I was like, although I went all, for Chris, I went all the way back to Carson for the reference. So sorry, Chris. I was there too. You're on. Okay, so Fitzcahall, you're on stage with the Enormocast. First of all, I make a lot of jokes about some sort of power rivalry that I have with Mr. Cahall, but he, in fact, from the very beginning of my project, has been an incredible help to me. Was very supportive in the beginning. I tell a story about him, talking me down off the ledge when I was all mad at. Actually, it was at Black Diamond at the time, and I was like standing in my living room or my bedroom, dripping because I'd had to hop out of the shower to get the phone when he called me back, and sobbing, and he was like, "No, just keep going. It's a great thing. Everybody's going to get on board." And he was right. People have gotten on board. And Fitz's podcast, The Dirtbag Diaries, was a real pioneer. It really is one of the only other. I think there's another one now, but one of the only ones that deals with climbing. And Fitz's model also deals with all sorts of outdoor stuff. I was kind of silly in making mine so focused, I think. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that while you're up here, that I totally appreciate the support you've given the Enormocast, and as much as I can, I try to help, steer people towards your podcast from mine as well.
I think one of the neatest things is it's such a cool time to be creative, because it is like, if you care a lot about what you're doing, which is so clear in your show, people respond to it, and it's people respond to it whether they're working at BD or whether they're part of the community, and whether it's your audience, your sponsors, whatever. You kind of realize it's the whole thing, and if you exude this passion long enough, it's like it comes around. So I'm glad you're still here, and we're sitting up on stage, and that I didn't know you were naked in a towel when we were talking.
Oh, I didn't tell you that?
That would be a little creepy. So
all right,
that was good. That was a good non-disclosure right there.
Well, I had called you, and you had said, "Oh, I'll call you back in a little bit. Chill out." And then I was in the shower, and the phone rang, and I jumped out. So yeah. Anyway, that's an image that you can now die with, is me standing in a towel. There you go. We can recreate it if you'd like. Anyway, I'm going to go back to your sort of starting. You started the Dirtbag Diaries 7 years ago now? Is it coming up on that?
Yeah, no, I think we're past 7.
Oh, you're past 7 now.
Past 7 now.
I've lost track, because right about the time I started the Enormocast, I think, it was 6. So yeah, you're getting up there. So can you talk about your sort of the genesis of your idea and how that came about?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things were happening. at the same time as like, so I've been writing probably for, you know, getting paid to write, I think since 1999 or something like that, 2000. And there's just a certain point where it was clear, like, I will not make a living. You know, Chris was talking about that, how if you're the writer, it's like you kind of got hosed a little bit because you basically produced everything. You put the ropes up for the photographers, and then you kind of like got this little meager paycheck at the end. And I kind of realized like I wasn't going to be able to make it work as a writer. And I just, I also always loved the internet, and I had been writing on the internet since like one of my first paychecks actually came from websites.
Wow.
At the sort of end of the .com era. So
right.
I always loved the internet, and I was just like, that's what I'm going to go do. And I loved radio, and it just sort of made sense. Like podcasting was really taking off right at that stage, and it seemed like a lot of the stories that I wanted to tell were really suited for that style. And it just, I don't know, I started just geeking out in a room, and it was like, I realized that, you know, I think I released my first show, and it was like cool. I kind of sent it to a bunch of friends thinking, man, this is going to be just like how you build a resume or something. And it was like, you know, I sent it out to 30 friends, and it was by the end of the day, there were like 300 listens. And then the end of the next day, there were 3,000 listens. And it was like just this moment where you realized your life had changed.
Wow.
That it was like, oh, this could work. So, and then, you know, 7 years and change later, here I am sitting with you.
So were you like a podcast person like I was? I mean, were you somebody who listened to them? I mean, let me say this, like 7 or 8 years ago, I mean, podcasts have been around a long time, and it seems like if you look at the history of them, there's been these little blips. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think even in between when you've started it kind of maybe like podcasting sort of took a dip for a little while. In fact, at a meeting here at Five Point a couple years ago, we were told, I think, that podcasting was dead, actually, to our faces.
Yeah.
That was
I
nice.
do remember that. Yeah.
But again, like now I think it's on a whole nother renaissance. So were you like a podcast guy, or was it something more from a radio perspective?
I was like I said, I loved the internet. So in general, it was like anything like that was rad, because it was just like this sort of new way of consuming media. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I had been, for me, my entry into it was, I really love music. I'm like super passionate about music. So there were a lot of interesting music shows that you could share, you know, that were being shared online through podcasting and through iTunes. And it was like, that was wicked. So from there, I was like, I was already using all this to do it. And it just sort of made sense, you know, because it really, I think iTunes had really just launched the whole podcast site for its, you know, when I started working on it at the beginning. And so really what it was is it was like there was a workable platform.
Right.
You didn't have to be a total geek to get it. So it was there. But yeah, no, it was, I don't know how much you did, but I had to like code the RSS feed. And I had to like do like all this like weird computer stuff, which I've actually completely removed out of my mind, and I have no idea how to do it anymore. But I did it back in the day. It was kind of weird. It was like at that stage still.
That would have broken me. I wouldn't have made it, for sure.
It nearly broke me.
Because if I have to change like a font on my website, it can take 2 days. You know.
That's how I am now. I just like let all that information go.
And if you're by yourself, like, and you get on those forums, it's so classic. Like that Jimmy Fallon thing from Saturday Night Live where the tech guy's like, move. Because you ask a question and whoever answers you purposely just tries to blow your mind with like all this jargon. Oh, did you check the PHP file and the blah, 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 the blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no, I just want to go to Arial, you know, common font. Can you just tell me how to do it? And yeah, it's a nightmare. Yeah. It's a total nightmare. And that's with like a word. My website's terrible, but
so is mine.
Yeah. Actually,
mine may be worse than you.
One of the reasons I don't mind that mine sucks is because of yours.
Yeah. So. No, it totally sucks. Yeah. I
was like, what's he got going over there? Oh, that's fine. Mine's fine then.
No, it's painful. It's so hard. I told you, like, let go all of that out of my mind. I was like, I could barely write a line of code now if I had to.
Well, I always tell people, like, everyone gets it off iTunes mostly, so it's like the website's super ancillary anyway. But all right, I want to also ask you a little bit about your betrayal of the medium, because you have moved into doing a lot of video, and that's really driving. Is it Duct Tape Then Beer is your production company, or your whatever?
Yeah, Duct Tape Then Beer owns the Dirtbag Diaries, basically.
Right.
And Duct Tape Then Beer was basically a way to make sure that as I grew that I had a vehicle that would let me do anything I wanted. So it's just I didn't know, there's been, just like you, there's been certain times where I haven't known whether the Dirtbag Diaries is going to continue or whether it would be able to. And, so that was just the way I solved it was I created another company that could own the Dirtbag Diaries so that we could have the ability to evolve as creatives, basically.
Right. And so now, I'd say it's a betrayal. I'm just joking. But your video production is starting to, I think, maybe drive you business-wise more, or or is it just looked at as like a big package?
It's a big package, and I actually have to say, like, it's funny, yes, we do a lot of video work, and a lot of our resources are committed to that, but like, our team will tell you that I sit there every day, and I pretty much at least once a day, because I know they're sick of me as I say it. The Dirtbag Diaries is the heart of what we do. It's like if we didn't if and when the Dirtbag Diaries ends, I would sort of be like, I would sit there and say, you have to know where your heart is, because that's what the Dirtbag Diaries is.
Do you have a feeling that if you were to end the Dirtbag Diaries, like, people would come and basically lynch you?
I hope not. I don't want the Dirtbag Diaries to end. It's not like I'm sitting here talking about this, but it's just like, you get the reality is like, this is, we're in our 8th year now. And you're like, how long can these things go for? I guess like radio can last forever. And Garrison Keillor, I'm like, I'll let this out. I dislike Garrison Keillor. I know there's going to be some people that lynch me in this room, but I'm like, retire already, dude. He's retired 6 times in the last 2 years, and he won't stop. So I guess it can last forever. But if you look at something like a TV show, how many TV shows run for 8 years? Not that many. So
I just have always, part of the, like, when I get kind of like, I don't really want to, get this done tonight or get this out or whatever happens to be, I definitely feel this in a good way, like this sort of pressure from the audience of like, because I'll get an email when I'm late on putting a thing out, like, hey bro, like, no big deal, but like, where's my free stuff? Like, you're supposed to put it out already. Like,
yes, like, that does happen.
Like, I know you're probably busy, but like, dunk 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 on the door, like, hey, I just see you in there just sitting there. But and it's like, I'm still doing this real amateur style, like, in addition to my day job, and I've always said, like, it's really hard to come home from your day job and then, like, I'm gonna be creative now. It's 8 o'clock, creativity time. Like, start being creative now, so sometimes I'm just like over it, but then I'm like, oh man, the people need the Enormocast, like, or I'm going to hear about it, so I better get something out there. So, but that's kind of what I meant. Like, I think your fan base too would be like, wait a second, you can't do this to us,
Well, I hope we don't ever have to. It's actually been really cool. Coming back to the
kids,
podcast.
let them take it over.
Yeah, that may happen. Trust me. No, but it is like we actually grew more. We grew it. The only year we've grown more than the last year was our first year. So it's this idea of like, that's pretty crazy to me that our audience grew by like another 25% last year. So that's kind of wild.
I think the podcast thing is raging, and like, WTF with Mark Maron and all these podcasts have really like put podcasting on the stage again. And so I mean, not to say that you're just growing on your own, but I think the whole industry sort of is growing.
I do too. I think it got a lot. I think it's finally started working where it's easier to listen on your iPhone too.
One last thing I want to ask you about then, because we're about done here, but I want to ask you about the movie that you had in 5 Point last year, The Road to Caracol, which I've been telling people not to take away from this year or anything else, but at least last year, for me, that was my favorite 5 Point film of all time. I happened to be MC that night, but that was not really relevant to that. I was just really blown away by it. And I also know that it's gone around the country and gotten to be, quite a big deal. And just kind of like, can you put it in perspective as to like what that's done for you, and how that's made you feel in terms of this reaction to this film that you were a big part of? Obviously, Kyle's Dempster is sort of the hero of it, but I know that behind the scenes what you went through to deal with the thousands of hours practically of tape. So
yeah. No, it's been incredible. I knew that Kyle's story and who Kyle was were so incredible. Like, it was like you opened up this hard drive and you saw his footage and you're like, this person is honest, legit, authentic, and funny. And you rarely get that. It's actually pretty hard to find that as a storyteller a lot of times, especially when it comes to film. You know, it's like just that's not the nature of projects all the time. So like we had something incredible to work with, and I just didn't know how it would do online. I mean, it's a 25-minute film, and I kind of like, I think one thing I've always learned how to do, and I think you probably have, is you kind of have to detach your ego from numbers or your storytelling. It's like the moment you start to kind of worry about the numbers too much, it's like it's going to infiltrate your thinking on how you make a product or how you tell a story. And so I just try not to worry about that in general. But if you'd asked me ahead of time how it would do online, I probably would have been like, we'll be lucky if we get 10,000 views on that, because it's like there's this thinking, and you hear it all the time of people saying, you can't do this, you can't do that online, you can't have anything longer than 5 minutes online. And it's frankly, it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
because it's
it's patronizing.
If you make something great, the truth is it will work. But even then, I was doubtful. I was like a little bit like, I don't know if this one's gonna work, and it did. It's just I don't know what it's on now, but I think at some point it's, you know, across like 500, between everywhere it's been, it's, you know, beyond 500,000 people watched it, which is pretty insane for a 25-minute film. Right.
So last thing then, what do you got going on this year while you're here at 5 Point?
We're doing a live Dirtbag Diaries tomorrow.
Okay.
Much like this.
Where is it?
That'll be at Steve's Guitar at noon, which I'm very excited about. And yeah, mostly I'm just here to be involved in 5 Point because this is such an incredible community experience. It really does. Like, compared to a lot of other events and festivals, it just kind of feels like the family's here.
Yeah.
So it's as much just a fun thing.
Well, you've been a big part of it for a while in terms of coming.
Yeah, well, you can't say no to Julie and Michael Kennedy. They're kind of hard. Once they ask you to do something, you're like, yes, I will. So I feel like a puppy dog when I'm around them.
Well, and I also want to note that when I decided to do this live podcast last year, I checked with Fitz, like, hey, dude, I'm going to kind of do what you do. I'm going to rip off your idea. Like, is that cool? I never heard back from him, so I just went ahead and... No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I didn't want to step on his toes, but you know, we've come to eye about how both of our projects complement each other. I've ridden on his coattails, and hopefully, you know, some of the people that listen to mine have found yours through that, just Googling climbing podcasts or whatever. So
no, they have, because I think there's also a lot of people that wish we were more climbing focused.
Sure.
Than we are.
Yeah,
and I think it's pretty cool to see that how. I mean, it's like, it's not just like you listen to one podcast. If you listen to podcasts, you usually listen to like 10 to 15 probably.
Yeah, regularly. It depends on what you do for a living, I guess. But if you can, I mean, I fill my head with them every day if I can. I get annoyed when people like bug me. I'm like, I'm listening to my shows. I can get off, you know, like... Anyway, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming up, and I'm going to wrap it up. And like again, I can't thank you enough for just supporting the whole idea of what we do and doing such a good job with it. That you like I said, you laid the groundwork that I just walked in on. So I appreciate it.
Likewise, it's wicked to see how well it's worked for you, and it's so cool to see this community just keep getting bigger and bigger, and you know, people believing in it on a lot of different levels. So,
do you guys want to see us hug?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that's it. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming. And like I said, tomorrow, noon at Steve's Guitars, my man Fitz has got his going, so go check that one out. It'll be different, but cool.
Want a beer? You gonna call room service? We got beer. If you haul beer up this rock, you're insane.
I may be insane, but I'm not stupid. I didn't carry it. You did. It's in your pack.